The revelation. Captain Ilara Voss stood at the central command platform of the HFY Odysius, Earth's most advanced warship, though officially it was classified as a diplomatic escort vessel in all communications with the Galactic Conclave. The massive ship hung silently in Earth's orbit, its obsidian hull absorbing rather than reflecting starlight, unlike the ornate, gleaming vessels favored by the older species of the Conclave. Final diagnostic sweep complete, Captain, reported Commander Kai Nakamura, her executive officer. All systems nominal. The quantum core is stable and masking protocols are functioning at optimal levels. Ilara nodded, her deep brown eyes fixed on the approaching Conclave inspection shuttle. After 2 decades of careful planning, resource allocation, and covert technological development, the Odysius represented humanity's insurance policy in a galaxy that regarded them as little more than clever primitives to be managed and contained. "How long until our guests arrive?" she asked, straightening the collar of her Navy uniform. 10 minutes, Captain. Ambassador Rice is already at the reception bay with the diplomatic team. Humanity had joined the galactic community just 30 years ago, discovered by a Conclave survey ship that had detected their early interplanetary transmissions. The initial excitement of first contact had quickly given way to the harsh reality of galactic politics. Earth was classified as a Category 2 civilization, permitted limited interstellar travel but restricted from developing advanced weapons technology, quantum manipulation systems, or gravity control beyond basic applications. The Conclave claimed these restrictions were for the stability of the galactic order and the protection of developing species. The unspoken truth was that established powers rarely welcome newcomers to the table of influence. "They're here to gather intelligence," Ilara said quietly. "The Mintharians have been pressuring the Conclave for months about our shipbuilding program." "Hard to hide a vessel of this size," Kai replied with a slight smile. "Even with our masking technology. Which is precisely why we're letting them inspect it, on our terms." Ilara smoothed back her auburn hair, tightly bound in a regulation style. "Let's go greet our guests." The Conclave delegation consisted of 3 representatives: High Inspector Zyvex of the Mintharians, crystalline beings known for their analytical minds and technological prowess; Trade Commissioner Ulan of the Vesperi, a species resembling Earth's extinct mantis shrimp whose multicolored carapace shifted with their emotional state; and Observer Theln of the Aetherians, a gaseous species contained within an environmental suit who served as the Conclave's supposedly neutral witness. "Captain Voss," Ambassador Reyes nodded as she approached. "Our distinguished guests were just expressing their appreciation for allowing this inspection of our new diplomatic vessel." Ilara noted the slight emphasis on the word diplomatic. The lie was necessary. The Odysius contained technological innovations that violated at least 12 Conclave restrictions on developing species. "We're honored by your interest in our humble vessel," Ilara said with practiced humility. "Though I'm afraid you may find our technology rather rudimentary by Conclave standards." High Inspector Zivex's crystalline structure flickered with blue light, a sign of skepticism among the Mintharians. "The energy signatures we detected during your ship's trial runs suggest capabilities beyond standard Category 2 parameters, Captain. Our propulsion system is inefficient," Ilara replied smoothly. "It requires substantially more power to achieve results that your ships manage routinely, a disadvantage of being newcomers to interstellar engineering." Trade Commissioner Ulan's carapace rippled with amber and violet patterns. "We would appreciate a tour of your engineering section." "Of course," Ilara replied with a diplomatic smile. "Though I should warn you that our methods may seem quaint by your standards." The tour proceeded as planned. The engineering section they showed the delegates was real but limited, a conventional drive system that would indeed appear inefficient to advanced species. The quantum displacement engine, gravitational weaponry, and adaptive shielding remained hidden behind security protocols and physical barriers designed to appear as ordinary bulkheads. As they completed the tour in the ship's observation lounge, Ilara's neural implant vibrated with an urgent message. She excused herself momentarily, stepping away to receive the transmission. Captain Voss, the face of Admiral Helena Zhang appeared in her mind's eye via the secure neural link. We've received a distress call from Proxima Station. They're under attack by unknown forces. The Conclave has been notified, but claims the attackers are outside their jurisdiction due to an administrative boundary dispute. Ilara's jaw tightened. Proxima Station was humanity's largest research outpost beyond the Sol system, home to over 3,000 civilians. Orders, Admiral. Officially, we're to stand down and wait for Conclave deliberation. The Admiral's expression hardened. Unofficially, the Odysius needs to complete its final shakedown cruise, perhaps in the direction of Proxima. Understood, Admiral. We'll depart immediately. Ilara returned to the delegation, her expression carefully neutral. I apologize, but we've received orders to begin our patrol route immediately. Ambassador Reyes will see you back to your shuttle. Observer Thelm's environmental suit pulsed with a soft green light. This is quite abrupt, Captain. Standard procedures for a new vessel, Ambassador Reyes interjected smoothly. We need to establish baseline performance metrics under actual patrol conditions. After the delegation departed, Ilara assembled her senior officers in the command center. Proxima Station is under attack by unknown forces, she announced without preamble. The Conclave won't intervene due to a convenient boundary dispute. Rules of engagement, asked Lieutenant Commander Iris Okafor, Weapons Systems Officer. Protect our people at all costs, Ilara replied. But we maintain the facade that we're operating within Conclave technological restrictions until absolutely necessary. Commander Nakamura frowned. Once we engage, there's no hiding what the Odysius can do. Then we better make sure our first impression counts, Ilara said grimly. Navigation. Set course for Proxima. Maximum conventional speed until we're beyond Conclave observation range. 6 hours later, the Odysius dropped out of its quantum displacement field at the edge of the Proxima system. The main view screen immediately filled with chaos. 3 enormous vessels of unknown configuration were bombarding the station's defensive grid. Several supply ships had been destroyed in orbit, their wreckage forming a debris field around the station. Life signs on the station, Ilara demanded. Multiple distress beacons active, responded Lieutenant Park at sensors. Approximately 2,700 life signs detected in the main habitation rings. The station shields are at 23% and failing. Identify the attackers. Park frowned at his readings. No match in our database or shared Conclave records. Energy signatures suggest technology comparable to mid-tier Conclave species. They're jamming all communication frequencies, Communications Officer Chen reported. The station can't call for help. Ilara studied the tactical display. The unknown ships were deploying smaller craft toward the station's docking bays, likely boarding parties. Broadcast on all frequencies. First contact protocol Alpha, she ordered. Let's see if they're interested in talking. After 3 minutes of broadcasting the universal greeting established by the Conclave, the only response was a new barrage against the station's weakening shields. So much for diplomacy, Ilara said. Tactical. Analyze their shield configuration and weapon systems. Lieutenant Commander Okafor worked rapidly. Their shields operate on a trimodal frequency pattern. Standard Conclave weapons would require sustained bombardment to penetrate. And our weapons? A predatory smile crossed Okafor's face. One burst from the gravitational lance should disrupt their shield harmonics immediately. Quantum particles can target propulsion and weapon systems once shields are down. Ilara nodded. Prepare for engagement. Helm, bring us in at attack vector Theta 3. Communications, record everything. I want evidence of their aggression and our proportional response for the inevitable Conclave inquiry. The Odysseus accelerated toward the 3 alien vessels, still appearing to use conventional drives. The attackers finally noticed the approaching ship, breaking off their assault on the station to address this new threat. "They're targeting us," Park reported. "Energy weapons charging." "Maintain course," Ilara ordered calmly. "Shields at maximum, but continue to mask our true capabilities." The lead alien vessel fired a stream of plasma energy that would have disabled or destroyed most Category 2 vessels. The Odysius's shields absorbed the impact without a tremor. "Minor fluctuation in shield grid 7, reported Nakamura. "Compensating. No damage." The aliens fired again, this time all three ships concentrating their attack. The Odysseus shuddered slightly but continued on course. "They're confused," Okafor noted with satisfaction. "Their sensors show we should be crippled by now." Ilara leaned forward. "Let's introduce ourselves properly. Deploy gravitational lance, minimum dispersion. Target the lead vessel's propulsion section." A barely visible distortion erupted from the Odysseus's forward section, a concentrated field of gravitational force that bent space itself between the ships. Where it struck the alien vessel, the shield flared brilliantly before collapsing entirely. The ship's rear section crumpled as if crushed by an invisible hand. "Direct hit," Okafor reported. "Their main drive is offline. They're switching to auxiliary power." The other two vessels immediately changed formation, retreating to a defensive position. "They're transmitting," communications announced. "Audio only." Ilara nodded. "Let's hear it." A harsh, clicking language filled the bridge, translated moments later by the ship's AI. "Unknown vessel, this territory has been claimed by the Krell Dominion. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." "Transmit response," Ilara ordered. "Krell vessels, you are attacking a sovereign human research station, protected under Galactic Conclave Statute 27B. Power down your weapons and withdraw from this system immediately." The reply came swiftly. "The Conclave has no authority over Krell expansion. Your primitive vessel cannot stand against our fleet." Ilara smiled thinly. "I think we've already demonstrated otherwise. You have 30 seconds to cease all hostile actions and withdraw." The Krell response was to launch a swarm of smaller attack craft toward the Odysseus. "Fighter craft incoming," Park reported. "Approximately 30 units. Deploy countermeasures," Ilara ordered. "Okafor, target the second capital ship. Full gravitational lance followed by quantum particle strikes to weapon systems only." The Odysseus's point defense system activated, another technology officially beyond Earth's approved development level. Precisely targeted energy pulses intercepted the incoming fighters, disabling their systems without destroying them. The gravitational lance fired again, this time at full power. The second Krell ship's shields collapsed instantly, followed by precise particle beam strikes that surgically removed its weapon emplacements. On the view screen, the alien formation broke. The third, undamaged ship abruptly accelerated away from Proxima Station, abandoning its companions. "The third ship is powering up its FTL drive," Park reported. "Let them go," Ilara decided. "They'll carry the message." She turned to Nakamura. "Status of the station. Shields holding at 14%. Multiple casualties reported from preliminary bombardment, but station infrastructure remains largely intact. Their medical facilities are operational." Ilara nodded. "Deploy our medical teams and engineering support. I want those shields reinforced and wounds treated." She paused, looking at the disabled Krell vessels. "And prepare boarding teams. I want to know exactly who these Krell are, and why they thought attacking the human outpost was a good idea." 4 hours later, with the station situation stabilized and the two disabled Krell vessels secured in orbit, the expected Conclave ship appeared at the edge of the system. The ornate diplomatic vessel approached cautiously, no doubt scanning the scene with considerable interest. "Incoming transmission from the Conclave ship," communications announced. "Put it through," Ilara ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen displayed a familiar figure, High Inspector Zivex, his crystalline form now pulsing with rapid patterns that Ilara recognized as extreme agitation. "Captain Voss." He began formally. The Conclave has received reports of an unauthorized military engagement in this system. Inspector, Ilara acknowledged. The Odysius responded to a distress call from our research station, which was under unprovoked attack by forces identifying themselves as the Krell Dominion. We acted in self-defense and in protection of our citizens, as is our right under Conclave Charter, Article 4. The Krell are a non-conclave species from the Outer Rim, Zivek stated. However, your intervention with... He paused dramatically. Technologies clearly exceeding your authorized development level raises serious concerns. Ilara kept her expression neutral. The protection of our citizens was our primary concern. We would welcome a conclave investigation into the incident and are prepared to share all sensor logs and communications. That will be necessary, Ziox replied coldly. The conclave has dispatched a full diplomatic and technical delegation. Until their arrival, your ship and crew are to remain in this system. The conclave will determine appropriate responses to both the Krell incursion and Earth's technological discrepancies. We'll cooperate fully, Ilara agreed, knowing the true diplomatic battle was just beginning. As Zivex's image faded from the screen, she turned to her crew. And so it begins. The news of the Odysius's capabilities would soon spread throughout the galaxy. Earth's facade of technological compliance had been shattered, but so too had any notion that humanity would be an easy target. Reshaping the stars. The great chamber of the Galactic Conclave on Nexus Station hummed with tense energy. Representatives from 117 spacefaring species filled the tiered seating, their murmurs creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles that the universal translator struggled to process. At the center of the chamber stood Captain Ilara Voss, flanked by Ambassador Reyes and Admiral Zhang. Before them, elevated on a crystalline dais, sat the Conclave High Council, the 7 representatives of the founding species who had governed galactic affairs for millennia. Grand Arbiter Thal of the Etherians, the current Conclave leader, raised his environmental suit's manipulator appendages for silence. The chamber gradually quieted. This emergency session addresses 2 matters. Thal began, his translator converting his atmospheric vibrations into standard galactic speech. First, the incursion of Krell forces into Conclave-protected space, and second, the revelation that Earth has developed military technology far beyond their authorized level. Ilara maintained her rigid posture, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien gazes upon her. In the week since the battle at Proxima Station, news had spread rapidly through Conclave space. The Odysius's capabilities, only partially revealed during the engagement, had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. High Inspector Zyvex floated forward, his crystalline form pulsing with indignation. The evidence is incontrovertible. Earth has systematically deceived the Conclave regarding their technological development. The vessel Odysseus employs quantum displacement technology, gravitational weaponry, and adaptive shielding, all strictly prohibited for Category 2 species. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many Conclave races viewed humanity with suspicion already. This confirmation of deception only reinforced their prejudices. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward. At 68, the veteran diplomat carried himself with quiet dignity. Esteemed council members, Earth acknowledges the development of technologies beyond our assigned category. We did so not in defiance of Conclave authority, but out of necessity. Necessity, scoffed Delegate Merax of the militaristic Vesperi hegemony. What necessity justifies such deliberate violations? Survival, Admiral Zhang replied simply. She activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Since joining the galactic community, 23 human outposts and research stations have been attacked by non-conclave forces. In each case, conclave intervention was either denied or delayed until the damage was done. The chamber erupted in objections. Grand Arbiter Thal called for order. While regrettable, stated Councillor Ixel of the ancient Mintharian Collective, such incidents do not justify unilateral military advancement. The restrictions exist to maintain technological balance and prevent destabilizing arms races. With respect, Counselor, Ilara spoke for the first time, her voice cutting through the chamber. These restrictions create an artificial hierarchy that primarily benefits established species. Humanity faced a choice: adhere to restrictions and watch our colonies fall, or develop the means to protect ourselves. You speak of protection, High Inspector Zyvex countered. Yet the Odysius possesses offensive capabilities far beyond what would be needed for mere defense. The gravitational lance technology alone represents a strategic threat to established Conclave powers. A threat we have never employed against any Conclave species, Ilara pointed out. Unlike the Krell, who have now admitted to launching 17 raids against human outposts in the past year alone. This revelation caused a stir among the delegates. The Krell commander captured at Proxima had provided extensive intelligence under questioning, including the disturbing revelation that certain Conclave species had been tacitly encouraging Krell aggression against human settlements. The interrogation of Krell prisoners is a separate matter, Grand Arbiter Thal said quickly. This session concerns Earth's violation of technological restrictions. Are they truly separate matters? Admiral Zhang asked pointedly. Our investigation of the captured Krell vessels revealed weapons components bearing Vesperi manufacturing signatures. The Vesperi delegate's carapace flashed angry red. An outrageous accusation. One we can prove, Zhang replied calmly, updating the holographic display to show detailed scans of the components in question. These quantum stabilizers were produced at the Vesperi military facility on Ortis Prime. They carry manufacturing codes that identify not only their origin, but the specific production batch. The chamber erupted again, this time with demands for explanation from multiple species. The Vesperi were not well loved in the Conclave. Their aggressive trade practices had earned them few friends. Grand Arbiter Thal struggled to restore order. When the chamber finally quieted, he turned to the human delegation with narrowed atmospheric vents, the Aetherian equivalent of a suspicious glare. These allegations are serious and will be investigated. However, they do not excuse Earth's violations. The Conclave system depends on adherence to established protocols. If every emerging species were permitted to develop as they wished, chaos would result. Ilara stepped forward again. If I may address the chamber. The Grand Arbiter hesitated, then nodded. Distinguished representatives of the Conclave, Ilara began, her voice calm but carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. I am not a diplomat or politician. I am a ship captain and soldier. But even I can see that the system we operate under is fundamentally flawed. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed the disabled Krell vessels alongside the Odysius. These attackers believed they could strike our outpost with impunity because humanity was supposedly restricted from developing effective defenses. They were wrong, this time. But how many other emerging species have been culled before they could challenge the established order? The chamber remained silent as she continued. We've accessed the Krell ship's data archives. They contain records of raids against not just human outposts, but settlements of 7 other emerging species. 3 of those species no longer exist, wiped out by repeated attacks that the Conclave deemed outside their jurisdiction. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward again. What Captain Voss is describing is not merely negligence but a pattern. Our analysis suggests certain Conclave powers have been using non-member species like the Krell as proxies to eliminate potential competitors before they can develop. These accusations are without merit, the Vesperi delegate hissed. The human delegation attempts to distract from their own violations with conspiracy theories. Not theories. Admiral Zhang interjected. Evidence. She updated the holographic display again, this time showing communication logs recovered from the Krell command ship. These encrypted transmissions between Krell commanders and Vesperi military intelligence coordinated attacks on human outposts specifically selected to appear beyond easy Conclave response. The chamber descended into chaos again as multiple delegations demanded to see the evidence. Grand Arbiter Thal was forced to call a recess to restore order. When the session resumed 3 hours later, the mood had shifted perceptibly. The Vesperi delegation was notably absent, recalled by their government for consultation. Several other Conclave species had requested private meetings with the human delegation during the recess. Grand Arbiter Thal seemed diminished as he reopened the session. The evidence presented by Earth regarding Vesperi involvement with Krell raids will be investigated by a special committee. However, we must still address the issue of Earth's technological violations. Ilara exchanged glances with Ambassador Reyes and Admiral Zhang. They had anticipated this. The Conclave bureaucracy would attempt to compartmentalize the issues, addressing Earth's violations, while slow-walking investigation into the larger conspiracy. It was time for their final gambit. Admiral Zhang spoke. Grand Arbiter, before the Conclave renders judgment on Earth's actions, we wish to present one final piece of evidence. Evidence that challenges the very foundation of the category system itself. Thal's environmental suit pulsed with caution. Proceed, but be aware that established Conclave protocols are not open for debate in this session. Zhang activated a small device she had kept concealed in her hand. The holographic display in the center of the chamber changed, showing an ancient vessel of unfamiliar design. This ship was discovered by human archaeologists beneath the surface of Mars, our neighboring planet, 3 years before first contact with the Conclave. It had been buried for approximately 50,000 years. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several of the elder species leaned forward with sudden interest. The technology aboard this vessel far exceeded humanity's understanding at the time. We kept it secret, even from our own population, while we studied it. When the Conclave discovered Earth and imposed technological restrictions, we recognized something startling. Zhang magnified portions of the ancient ship design. The category system imposed by the Conclave exactly matches the technological progression path we were deriving from this vessel. Not approximately, exactly. The chamber fell silent. Further, our linguistic experts eventually deciphered portions of the ship's logs. They were written in a protoform of the Mintharian crystalline language. All eyes turned to the Mintharian delegation, whose crystalline forms had gone utterly still. This ship predates the official formation of the Conclave by 30,000 years, Zhang continued. Yet it contains technical specifications for technologies that emerging species are still discovering under Conclave guidance today. The inescapable conclusion is that the category system is not a natural technological progression path, but an artificial construct designed to control the development of new species. Grand Arbiter Thal's environmental suit pulsed erratically. These claims are verifiable. Ambassador Reyes interrupted smoothly. We have brought the vessel to Nexus Station. It is currently docked in Bay 94, available for inspection by any delegation that wishes to verify our claims. The chamber erupted into the loudest chaos yet. Several of the elder species delegations were already leaving their seats, presumably heading for the docking bay. The Mintharian representative's crystalline form was pulsing with patterns that the translators couldn't interpret. Ilara stepped close to Admiral Zhang. Will this work? She asked quietly. It already has, Zhang replied. Look at the elder species. They're panicking. Hours later, after numerous delegations had inspected the ancient vessel, the Conclave reconvened in a drastically different atmosphere. Many of the elder species representatives now avoided eye contact with their colleagues. The Mintharian delegation had been joined by several senior members who had traveled to Nexus Station with unprecedented speed. Grand Arbiter Thal seemed diminished as he called the session to order. That evidence presented by Earth requires careful consideration. Therefore, all proceedings regarding Earth's technological violations are suspended pending a complete review of Conclave categorization protocols. It was as close to a victory as they could have hoped for. As the session ended, representatives from dozens of species approached the human delegation, most seeking private conversations away from the chamber. Later, in the privacy of the Earth Embassy, Ilara, Zhang, and Rice finally allowed themselves to relax. That went better than expected, Rice said, pouring 3 glasses of Earth whiskey. a commodity that had become surprisingly valuable in diplomatic circles. The real work is just beginning, John cautioned. The elder species won't surrender their power easily. They'll try to contain this, claim it's an isolated case. But they can't put the genie back in the bottle, Ilara noted. Every emerging species in the Conclave just learned that the system is rigged against them. The coalition we've been quietly building will grow stronger now. And the Odysius? Rise asked. Will remain on patrol, John replied, but no longer in secret. Earth is officially recategorizing itself as a Category 4 civilization, effective immediately. They'll object, Rise warned. Let them, Zhang said with a rare smile. But I suspect they'll be too busy dealing with internal politics to focus on us. The Vesperi are just the tip of the iceberg. Once other emerging species start comparing notes about mysterious raids and boundary disputes, the entire power structure will be questioned. Ilara raised her glass. To Mars Ship 1, then. The ancient vessel that changed everything twice, once when we found it, and again today. And to the Odysius, Rise added. The ship that showed the galaxy that humanity won't be constrained by artificial limitations. To humanity, Zhang concluded, taking its rightful place among the stars. As they drank, Ilara's neural implant vibrated with an incoming message. It was from Commander Nakamura aboard the Odysius. Captain, we're receiving requests from 12 non-conclave species and 8 Category 1 and 2 conclave members. They're all asking for the same thing, bilateral defense agreements with Earth. Ilara smiled. The galaxy was changing, faster than anyone had anticipated. Humanity had not set out to become a galactic power, but circumstances had forced their hand. Now, they would help reshape the stars into something better. A galactic community based on mutual respect rather than arbitrary hierarchies.